Hi guys, welcome to Hoops Junction. Today we're comparing blown leads. It's been a big thing for a whole bunch of series in the past year. The Cleveland Indians blew a 3-1 lead. The Golden State Warriors blew a 3-1 lead. Atlanta Falcons blew a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl. So I just wanted to compare the two and see which one is worse. What the Atlanta Falcons did, blowing a 28-3 point lead, or what Golden State did, blowing a 3-1 lead. What the Atlanta Falcons did, blowing a 28-3 point lead in the Super Bowl was way worse than what the Golden State Warriors did, blowing a 3-1 lead. And I'm gonna tell you why. First things first, football is a game of parity. It's a game of unpredictability, and nobody could ever have predicted that the Atlanta Falcons will go up 21-3 against the New England Patriots. Scratch that. Nobody would even predict that they will go 21-3 at half and then 28-3 in the third quarter. About the difference between basketball and football is with a series, there's a lot of predictability in it. You can see where the trend is. You can see how they're officiating the games. You can see how in the NBA, for example, you can see why everything was pointing towards a Game 7. There were suspensions. There was inconsistent officiating. We had 6 blowouts. We've never really seen a finals where every single game was a blowout. It was crazy. We didn't get not one good game until Game 7, which didn't make any sense. How can we have 7 games and only get one good game out of 7? You know what I'm saying? When Golden State went up 3-1, those games weren't competitive. And when the Cleveland was coming back, those games were competitive as well, because you have to factor in Draymond Green being suspended, Andrew Bogut getting injured. So it was essentially, you could see how the NBA had their hands in the game. You know, from officiating to suspensions, which Draymond Green should have never got suspended. That makes absolutely no sense. That being said, when you look at football, there's none of that. They call a spade a spade. They call it fair. They review plays. They have 3 officials or 4 officials on the field trying to get the plays right, because they don't want to hear anything about, well, the officiating has something to do with it or the injuries has something to do with it. Football is completely different. Just like a big letdown. It was just it was completely out of left field. Nobody could ever have predicted that Falcons go up 28-3 and then they give up 19 points in the fourth quarter, and then it goes into overtime. First overtime in the Super Bowl, largest deficit ever overcome in the Super Bowl, largest lead ever blown in the Super Bowl. Nobody could predict that. Now that 3-1 lead being blown, as soon as Draymond Green got suspended, people started saying, well, the NBA wants a Game 7. Even if you're not like a savvy fan, let's just say you're a casual fan, you can see that the NBA definitely wanted a Game 7. So that's my first reason. Football is way more unpredictable than basketball. And with the Golden State Warriors blowing that 3-1 lead, we saw them blowing the lead. We saw what was taking place, both on their end and both from the NBA's end. Menacing in the whole series. In football, we didn't see that coming at all whatsoever. The second reason why what the Falcons did was way worse than what the Golden State Warriors did was this. There are less possessions in football than there are basketball. Basketball, there's a 24-second shot clock. Football, there's like a 34-second play clock. And when a team gets the ball and they're driving down the field, once they get a first down, that whole thing starts all over again. So in basketball, as the Golden State Warriors were blowing those leads and blew the 3-1 lead, it was only inevitable for them to lose a game or lose possessions or whatever. With the Falcons, all they had to do was run the football. All they had to do, if you run the ball, you keep the ball, and the clock is your friend. And there you go. You win the Super Bowl. You're up 28-3. If you run the ball, keep running the ball, as they were doing, the running back went 11 rushes, 75 yards and a touchdown. You think he want to get another touchdown, or you think we can get any more yards, any more first downs? the Falcons did not use the clock to their advantage. In basketball, you can't really use the clock to your advantage because there's 24 seconds in the shot clock. So eventually you're going to have to give up the ball. It doesn't matter. Even if you miss and you get a possession back, it's 24 seconds again. Basketball is a sport made to give the opponent an opportunity to come back in the game. While football is made where if you take care of the football and if you methodically do your drive, the other team doesn't get the ball back. And for some reason, the Atlanta Falcons completely forgot about that and they lost the Super Bowl. No reason why what the Atlanta Falcons did was way worse than what the Golden State Warriors did, what the Cleveland Indians did, all of them combined, is this. The Atlanta Falcons were at full strength. Matt Ryan was 100%. And when I mean they're full strength, I mean their star players were at 100%. So Matt Ryan was great. The running back was great. Their defensive players were solid, especially I believe it was Jarrett. Then you have Julio Jones, guy that's supposed to have turf toe. He's making toe tap catches on the sideline. So he was good to go. He played a huge role in getting Atlanta a huge lead. Nobody could check him. And for some reason, everybody just clamped up. The tighter the game got, the worse that the Atlanta Falcons got. And when you look at the Golden State Warriors, well, Andrew Bogut went down. Andre Iguodala had a bad back out of nowhere. I think it was game 4 or 5. Stephen Curry hobbled himself into NBA Finals. Russell Westbrook was taking it to Curry and he was manhandling him. And we all thought that, OKC pretty much had it in the bag to go to NBA Finals, and they did it. So Golden State Warriors have that excuse of, well, our stars, we weren't at full strength. Draymond Green wasn't full strength. Stephen Curry, Draymond Green wasn't at full strength just for the simple fact that he got suspended. Missing an entire game and trying to get a rhythm the next game is going to throw you off. Bogut not being there was key for the Cavaliers to come back. And then Curry not being 100%, he wasn't getting those spectacular shots that we're used to seeing him. But the Atlanta Falcons absolutely had no excuse not to make the same plays that they were making due to the fact that everybody was still solid. Your quarterback was great. Matt Ryan was 17 for 23. It's like he got tight with the ball and he made key turnovers. He just started making mental mistakes. It wasn't due to injury. It wasn't anything like that. It was just mental mistakes. They stopped running the football, which is a huge mistake because, like I said, my second reason, there's less possessions. So the longer you keep the ball, the more it's in your favor to win the game. And that absolutely made no sense. So those 3 reasons, the unpredictability, less possessions, and finally, the simple fact that their stars just out of nowhere disappeared, absolutely made no sense, and that's why they get the Charlemagne Award, a Donkey of the Day, I guess, because you cannot go up that many points, 28-3. You're up in the 4th quarter. Matt Ryan fumbles the ball. In addition to fumbling the ball, he takes a sack. When if he throws it out of bounds, they kick a field goal, they get a 10-point lead. No matter if New England Patriots get a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, they still are up 3 and they still win the game. They just made way too many mental mistakes, and a game of this magnitude, you only know it's one and done. There's no kind of collusion, there's no kind of predictability or anything like that. In the NBA, you could see where that series for Golden State was going. Even the series before, when OKC blew that 3-1 lead, you could see what was taking place. OKC was getting all the calls at the first, and then all of a sudden the referees started flipping on them. And, Westbrook choked and whatever. But this choke by the Atlanta Falcons and Matt Ryan finally get to the big stage and laying an egg. They never called audible to run the ball or anything like that. That has to be the biggest choke in sports history. This is Vlad from Hoops Junction, where Hoops meets Hooper. Peace.